Welcome to the MusicNut Program. I am John the Music Nuts, and I am here to continue our weekly series on one of my favorite bands, the Smithereens. Today's show, album number 2, Green Dots from 1988 on Capitol Records. This is the album that got me into the Smithereens. Before I go into my review of the album, two things I'd like to talk about. Number one, how'd they get their name, the Smithereens? Well, back in the day when I was young, there was a cartoon out. Well, the cartoon series, Looney Tunes, Merry Melodies. These actually came out decades before I was born, and I'm 53. Anyway, Bugs Bunny was the star. The main antagonists were Elmer Fudd and Yosemite Sam. Yosemite Sam's key phrase was, "I'm gonna blow 'em to smithereens." Well, that's where the band got the name of their band. You probably know Yosemite Sam best these days, as his image is on mud flaps on pickup trucks throughout the United States and beyond. I know we still have them on pickup trucks here in Wyoming County, Pennsylvania. There we go. Number 2, I'm only going to focus on the 8 original albums by the Smithereens, 8 original albums of their music. So I'm not going to talk about their covers albums, whether it was Beatles covers, the Who's Tommy, or covers they did from the 60s, or their Christmas album. I'm going to focus on the studio albums. And I'll talk a little bit about their double live album as well. And I also will do a rank in the album show at the end of the series. Now that I got that out of the way, let's talk about Green Thoughts from 1988. This is when their songs got on album-oriented rock radio. And when I was 17 years old, I was a student, a fan of Rock 107, WEZX out of Scranton, Pennsylvania. Still going strong, still independently owned and operated. Their set lists are significantly smaller these days, but tastes have changed, and a lot of people just want to hear the same songs. But back then, we'd hear songs that were new from not only established artists, but up-and-coming artists as well. That's what the Smithereens were at this time. I heard Only a Memory, which hit number 1 on the AOR charts in 1988. They had me. And this is the opening track on the album. Now, to go over this album, let me just get a drink of water, because I do get dry once in a while. They had 3 songs on from this album that hit the top 40 on the AOR charts. The songs that hit the charts were actually the harder rocking songs. When I was talking about Especially for You, I was talking about how it was like a mix of Buddy Holly meets early Who meets early Elvis Costello. Well, there's not really any Buddy Holly to be found. This album is more about craftsmanship. There's more acoustic songs on here. It plays a little bit like a singer-songwriter album, particularly on the second half. Pat's songs are better crafted than they were on Especially for You, and he already had his act down then. Their eclectic tastes continue on here, but even though the guitars on here are louder than they were on Especially for You, there's not as many songs that rock, but the singles rocked. Only a Memory, number 1 on AOR. This is a gem. First song to hit the top 100, number 92 in the United States. Very memorable melodies on here. Wonderful chorus. Upbeat song, loud rockin' song, great chords, sorrowful lyric. That was Pat's gift. That was what he did. He wrote upbeat melodies, but the lyrics were always of those of desperation, longing, loss, regrets. Although there's one song on here which changes the formula. Jim Babchick's solo on here, as his soloing has been throughout the years with the Smithereens. Their lead guitarist, he always plays for the song. Very economic solos. He's not showy, not flashy. You can sing his solos sometimes. Same lineup as before, just to let you know, Pat Denizio, Jim Babchick, Dennis Dykin, Mike Messeros. After the solo, when they go back into the chorus again, it almost plays out like a bridge. And the outro with Marty Jones harmonizing with the band at the end works very well. House We Used to Live In is the next track. This would hit number 14 on the AOR charts, and this hits even harder than Only a Memory. Very personal song for Pat. He wrote this song about his parents were going through a divorce and they lost their house to the IRS during the divorce. The guitars on here are jangly yet heavy, very catchy, sing-along verses. Like, yeah, you could sing this right off the bat. Excellent bridge on here. The bridge on here works perfectly. The call and response during the outro between Pat and the band is excellent. One of their most memorable songs. And these days, in fact, for the last several years, when the band plays out, and Pat's no longer with the band because he passed away, but you still have Marshall Crenshaw and Robin Wilson from the Gin Blossoms doing guest appearances on vocals, depending on the night. When they do this song live, they will go into Sparks by The Who. And I will tell you, it is one of the most exciting things you'll see at a rock show when they go into House We Used to Live In, right into Sparks, and go right back in the House We Used to Live In. It's just so exciting and exhilarating to see live. When I go to see the Smithereens live, and when they do that, that's usually when I go apeshit. Excellent track, though. Something new. Now, this plays like a classic 60s pop song. You got acoustic guitars, you got accordion on here, bass lines from Mike, very, very classy. Well crafted, it just flows very well. Pat's vocal is wonderful on here, has a country feel, not even 2 minutes. Very good track. Well, we know, now we're starting to rock harder again. This should be called Broken Heart because they say broken heart so much in this song. We only hear the words World We Know at the end of the lines in the choruses and a little bit as a bridge before we go back into the verse again. Guitars are louder. It's more mid-tempo. I'm sorry. It's very catchy. Very strong track, especially for you. Dark piano ballad. Pat had a deep voice. Sounds even more deep here. Tearjerker. The sax solo here from Steve Berlin. Wonderful. Excellent song. Complements the mood perfectly. It's the thing about this album. It is more of a singer-songwriter album, but there is still a lot of eclecticism on here. Lyrically, it's very outstanding, very personal. Yes, it plays like the 60s again, but that's what they did. They took the sounds, the great sounds from the 60s, and made it their own and more modern. The guest appearances on here, I was talking about Steve Berlin. You also have Kenny Margolis on here on piano, harpsichord, and accordion. He played the accordion on Something New. He'll play harpsichord on another track I'll be talking about. Drowning My Own Tears hit number 34 on the album-oriented rock charts. Nice touch on this, how Pat will emphasize the lyric at the end of each line. Great chord structure on here. Very nice harmonies. Another nice lyrical solo. Again, great song. Seems poppy, positive, about heartbreak and regret. works very well. Deep Black. From this point, this is where it becomes more singer-songwriter. The album doesn't rock much after this, but the songs are great. Birds Like Electric Guitars on here, very poetic, nice sparse leads, a lot of acoustic guitar, nice harmonies on here. Very well written. Elaine, this plays more like a peppy pop song, but it's a song about, oh, I hope I don't lose my woman. I hope we could keep it together. Great lyric. The music, again, it sounds like something out of the 60s with its craftsmanship. Very personal. Nice little bridge on here. Very whimsical. Great song. Spellbound. Now this is where Pat turns the tables, because this is a love song, but very dark musically. Mike's bass works very well on this song. It really works well on the tracks that are more solemn. It's just a darker song. The lead guitar, strictly there for color. It's the acoustic guitars that drive the train here. Nice little stop-start at the end, which is where it really works well. Another strong track. If the Sun Doesn't Shine, Pat called this an homage to Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys. And it is, with all the harmonies and the sunny mood, the playing on here. He sings in a higher register on this. Brighter song, very nice harmonies. Another great bridge. Another thing, Brian Wilson, he was a master of writing a good bridge as well. Very good. Green Thoughts is a solid closer. It's 2.5 minutes. And just to emphasize, this is a tighter album than Everything for You, or especially for you, I'm sorry. 11 songs, 35 minutes and 14 seconds. Some of these songs, 2-3 minutes, maybe a shade over 3 minutes. The longest song is 4 minutes and 9 seconds. Very nice lyrical solo here from Jim. Dennis Dykens' drums hit a little harder on this than some of the other more mellow tracks, and this is a mellow closer. Again, a lot of nods to the Byrds on this. Very well done. And that ends Green Thoughts. One of my favorite albums from 1988. Do I like this more than Especially for You? It depends on what mood I'm in. If I want something more whimsical, mellower, I go to this album. If I want something that hits a little harder, I go to Especially for You. This album hit number 60 in the States. It had 3 songs on the AOR charts. It says it hasn't certified, but I'm surprised. It had to have gone gold in the States, 500,000 units by this point. Because with an album like that, with songs on the radio for that long throughout 1988, the album had legs. So I'm thinking by this point, it's probably a gold album. It probably just hasn't been certified yet. Hopefully one day it will be. Tune in next week when I continue. It's Smithereens Saturday with their 3rd album, 11. This album would take them to greater heights. It would give them their first top 40 hit as well. And I hope you join me then. Until then, do what you love, and I'll talk to you soon.